Mistakes in managing your withdrawal strategy can drastically reduce the lifespan of your savings, increase your taxes, and give you a whole lot of stress and anxiety to go with it. Today, I'm unveiling the most common retirement withdrawal mistakes you're likely making without even realising it, and the smarter strategies that you should adopt instead. As always, it's your favourite Scotsman here again, and let's get stuck right into the first mistake: not withdrawing enough in the early years. I recently stumbled upon To Spend or Not to Spend report by BlackRock. You know, the folks who seem to have a hand in everything. This highlighted that only 1 in 6 plan to spend more right after retirement, and 43% plan to consistently spend throughout retirement. In my opinion, this is a big mistake. I would be willing to place a wee wager that most of you did not work hard all your life to take a sack of cash to the grave with you. No, I didn't think so. The reason this is top of the list is that it is no secret that the early years of retirement are often the ones that you end up doing the most. One example would be travelling. As our bodies get older, the thought of travelling isn't so appealing. Physically, we aren't in the same condition, and travel insurance costs can be prohibitive. The same can be said when it comes to hobbies and leisure activities. Those early or go-go years typically involve lots of different activities. Physically, you're in great shape, and you have to fill your newfound time with things to do. If you're a retiree, then you may be able to resonate with this, but I cannot count how many times I've heard a new retiree say, "I don't know how I ever managed to find the time to work." Look, I'm not suggesting for a second here that you spend all your retirement savings on a week's vacation in Vegas, but I also don't want you having regrets about the things that you should have done and the places you should have gone whilst you were still physically able to do so. Spend a little more in those early years and enjoy it. Just make sure that you have a plan in place to dial back the spending at a certain point. The next retirement withdrawal mistake is waiting too long to withdraw from your RRSP or RIF. While you aren't required to start taking money out of your RIF until you turn age 72, it doesn't mean that you should hold off until then. If you retire early, you should think about starting your RIF withdrawals well before the required minimum distribution age of 72. As a reminder, any withdrawals from your RIF are fully taxed, so you may wind up paying more in taxes over your lifetime if you delay taking money out of your RIFs. In a worst case scenario, you may face a reduction or elimination of your old age security pension. Now, I am no mind reader, but I think we can all agree that given the government-backed money that they're willing to give you if you plan properly isn't on top of anyone's Christmas wish list. Let's look at a couple of examples here. We've got Jane Smith, who is a 60-year-old retired government worker and has a defined benefit pension plan that pays her 70 grand a year. Sadly, Jane's husband passed away last year, and his RRSP account with $270,000 rolled over to Jane. Jane can live comfortably on her government pension, so doesn't need any additional income. Jane's first inkling is to leave the RRSP and not touch it until she needs to. That would be a mistake though. As you can see from this chart, leaving the RRSP until age 72 would put her into the OAS clawback territory for the rest of her life. The second option would be to draw down the RRSP each year. Now you can see from this chart that Jane doesn't avoid OAS clawback altogether, but she does minimise it. If you find yourself in a similar situation to Jane, you ideally want to place those extra RRSP withdrawals inside a TFSA to continue growing tax-free. This also gives the added benefit of having tax-free cash on hand for any larger expenditures that may come up in retirement. Another option is to place those funds into a non-registered investment account. Be wary of doing this though. You will be losing out on the tax deferral benefit of the RRSP, so you must decide whether the amount you will save in the OAS clawback is more than the tax deferral from the RRSP. There's several variables at play here, and we would recommend that you seek some professional advice before trying to implement this on your own. Quick break here. I won't bore you, but consider subscribing to the channel if you would like. Next up for withdrawal mistakes is not planning ahead for unexpected or larger one-time withdrawals. It is highly unlikely that you're going to go through retirement without needing a new car at some point, or if not a new car, major repairs to your existing car. The same can be said for homeowners. The furnace may go or the roof may need to be replaced. It's important to have a plan in place for how you're going to handle this. Our suggestion would be to Keep a portion of your assets in liquid cash so that you always know that you have it there as a backup. With the way interest rates have gone in the past couple of years, cash for the first time in a long time. And you don't have to sell part of your portfolio during a decline in financial markets. Now, I'm curious, how are you managing your unexpected one-time expenses? Drop a comment in the section below. I'd love to hear from you. By far the biggest risk to you withdrawing part of your investment portfolio each year to fund your retirement is that the stock market hits a really rough patch for a prolonged period of time right after you retire. Let's look at an example here. You can see from the table on the left, which we will call Portfolio A, the annual return in the early years after retirement at age 65 is, let's just say, not good. Portfolio B on the right, however, got off to a much better start. You can see in both Portfolio A and B, the starting balance was 500,000 and the annual withdrawal was 25,000. Fast forward to age 83, and you can see both Portfolio A and Portfolio B have the same average annual return, but the sequence of the returns has left $450,000 difference in the portfolio values. Admittedly, this is a worst case scenario, but entirely possible. What can you do to combat this? You need to be able to be flexible with your withdrawals, either by reducing withdrawals during rough times, or by holding a portion in cash so that you can ride through any market downturns. The next retirement withdrawal mistake we see is not having a plan. The financial planner telling me I should have a plan. Didn't see that coming. Well, you may have seen it coming, but people will plan more for a 2-week vacation than they will for a 30-year retirement. Going back to the BlackRock report that I mentioned earlier, another finding was that few retirees have asset goals and more seek to accumulate than spend down. What does this tell us? Accumulation is deep-rooted, and most of those surveyed probably don't have a plan that makes them feel comfortable. To compound this, the report also mentions that recent retirees have more anxiety and are more pessimistic than those retired for over 10 years. A plan will help to alleviate some of that anxiety and pessimism. It will address how much you can withdraw in the early years, whether you should draw down your RRSP early, and how much you're going to pay for one-time expenses. It will also account for variables like market swings, inflation, taxes, and longevity. If you don't have a plan, then talk to your financial advisor about getting one. These days, you should be demanding more from your advisor than just investing your money for you. Of course, if you don't have an advisor, feel free to reach out to us and we'll point you in the right direction, whether that's working with us or somebody else. The next withdrawal mistake is a biggie, and one that can be the difference of tens of thousands of dollars over the average retirement. Not giving any thought to when you should start taking CPP and OAS. We've already covered OAS and potential clawback issues, but let's look at CPP in this example of John. You don't need a financial planner to tell you that there's a pretty big difference between those numbers, so don't take this decision lightly. I can't emphasize this enough. Generally, I don't recommend to clients that they take their CPP early unless they simply need the money or their life expectancy is significantly shortened. I'm not going to go into the full ins and outs today on reasons to consider taking early or delaying, but if you have enjoyed this video and want to learn more, you're going to love this next one I have lined up for you. Until next time, and remember, a good financial planner understands your goals, but a great one understands the motivations behind them.